Hello everyone. Today I want to review this book that I just finished reading, and it is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This edition doesn't have a cover, but you can see the title there on the spine. Now, even if you have not read this book, you have likely heard of it because it is a very well-known and renowned classic. I'd be surprised if there's a single person on Earth who hasn't heard of it yet. But anyway, this book was written in the 19th century, and it takes place in the 19th century, and it follows a family called the Bennets. The mother of the Bennets, Mrs. Bennet, has 5 daughters, and she is desperate to marry them all off to wealthy men, all for their own financial gain. Then one day, the family of the Bingleys come over and start interacting with the Bennets. This was, overall, a very enjoyable book. It's a very small and simple setting. The best part of the book, I think, was the characters. They were very well written, and the characters are what drives the story forward more than the story that drives the characters forward, like some authors will do. And I think that the characters were very well written. And they weren't just shallow characters either. They were very deep characters that felt like actual, real human beings that you could relate to. However, even though the characters were very good, there wasn't really that much of a plot. Basically, all that happens in this book is them talking and walking and going to balls and talking a lot. That's basically all that this book is. And so it does require a lot of patience for the story and for the characters. It moves along at a very slow pace, and it does require some patience. Still overall, a pretty enjoyable book though. It is a delightful story, and I thought that the ending was very good. The ending and the resolution of the story was the best part of it, and I think it was really well written. The themes of this book are amazing, like the main character Elizabeth Bennet and then Mr. Darcy, whom she at first does not like, but later she falls in love with. And it's interesting how they both sort of like represent Pride and Prejudice. Like both of them have Pride and Prejudice, and that's another thing I loved about this book. These characters were deep, they weren't just shallow. They all had their own flaws, and they were very realistic and relatable flaws as well. Although one thing is that I don't feel like we actually got enough time with Mr. Darcy. I mean, for most of the book, Darcy was just sort of sitting there in the background the whole time, and there wasn't really a whole lot of dialogue from him throughout the entire book, and I feel like we could have seen way more of Mr. Darcy, because even now after I finished the book, I feel like I only have sort of a vague idea of what Mr. Darcy's character is actually like, and I feel like there could have been more of him, more dialogue from him, and especially earlier on in the book, there could have been more of him for setup for things that happen later on in the story. And the resolution of the story does come a little bit abruptly as well, but it's still a good resolution and ending to the story. Even though I still feel like I don't really know Mr. Darcy all that well. And that is all I have to say about Pride and Prejudice. This is a book I've been wanting to read for a long time because it is a very big classic, and I just finished it, so I thought I'd review it quickly. I know this is a bit of a shorter video than my videos usually are. This is more the length of one of my videos from like a year ago, like my older videos, and all of them were like 5 minutes long. But anyway, I'm giving this book 8.5 out of 10. I think it was very well written, the characters were great, although we could have had more from Mr. Darcy, I feel like. And more setup for what happens later on in the book. Still a very good story. The themes are amazing. The characters are pretty great. The plot was okay. And it isn't really, this book wasn't really for me all that much, but I still did enjoy it. For a book where not much happens besides the characters talking to each other and walking and going to balls and talking some more, it was a very enjoyable book for all that, and so I did still really enjoy it. It was a very delightful read. I can definitely see why it is the classic that it is, and I'm giving it 8.5 out of 10. But that is my review of Pride and Prejudice. Thank you so much for watching this video, and for now, farewell.